Hi, welcome to the very first episode of the Sister's Guide to Financial Freedom. I'm your host, Crystal Reynolds Lewis, and I am joined by my beautiful sister, Jennifer Reynolds Walton. Hi, Jenny.
Hi, Crystal. And while Crystal's the mastermind to Sister's Guide to Financial Freedom, she certainly knows my passion in financial literacy and my interest in the impact of this journey. So I am so excited to be a part of this journey with you as we bring our lessons learned forth.
Yes, thank you. I'm so glad that you agreed to do this with me. I'm a 25-year marketing vet. I'm a mom. I am a wife. I am a artist. I'm also I like to bake gluten-free products too. And as I was thinking about this, I know there are lots of other women who are on their journeys through life, through their careers, through their family, but, personal finance and achieving that financial freedom is something that is important to millions of people. And we know that it's just not, there's just not enough information out there. I came across a statistic that said that Black Americans are at a disadvantage. And according to the Federal Reserve study that was released in 2020, the median net worth of Black families in the United States was about $24,000 versus that of white families at $188,000. And that just blew my mind. And I'm like, what can we do about this?
I'm with you right there, Crystal. And it's not even just the disparity in the households, in the Black families, and that's probably another session to get into that topic. But what we can impart on our kids, on our families, because one of the things I stop and think about all the lessons we were really the benefit factors of with our households growing up in Columbus, Ohio, that our dad imparted on us. And not everyone has that opportunity to be able to have access to that type of information in their home. And so thank you for having me join you in this, I think, just awesome, purposeful journey that we can message and share our stories in a way that maybe they can go into other families, other households, and learn from some of our best practices or lessons we've learned and had insight to over the years. And it's just a journey. It's a journey that we're all in and all at different stages, different phases of our life. But there's so much information that's out there, and if we can maybe distill and share some of that, I'm happy to be a part of that with you in this podcast.
Yes, and I think it's kind of cool. I've got my marketing background, but you are 3 decades into financial services. So, you are an expert in this area of banking and helping people achieve that American dream.
Well, I've certainly really had the pleasure to have made my career in an industry that's all about helping people in their day-to-day lives get some level of, financial success or help them achieve certain goals and things that they're trying to make happen. But I'm in this journey myself. I wouldn't in any way, shape, or form call myself an expert. I'm just another person that's gone through this journey we call life, and looking to take the things that I have value around and make them happen and make them work for me. And certainly having a sense of freedom financially enables us to bring other aspects of our life into, the purpose and the being the things that really make us who we are.
Yeah. And that's one of the reasons why I felt really strongly about doing this podcast. We have knowledge that we've gained throughout our lives and our careers and our experiences and through our family, a wealth of information that, was passed down from our father, which we'll get into in a little bit. But like you said, we're on our journey. we're helping each other through this journey. We're working with our family to help us through this journey. We've learned a lot. We've accomplished a lot. We've learned a lot. But we know there's still more to learn, and there's more for us to learn from other people. People can learn from us, and we want to use this podcast to really get that conversation started and join and help people achieve their goals to financial freedom, but also just be part of this journey, because it is, you really can't do it alone. So I'm really excited about the opportunity to engage others in this conversation.
Me too, and I'm excited to be here with you. It's another thing that we can do and share together. So I definitely appreciate the moment. And I also want to take this as an opportunity to impart. I've got my two kids, a little older than yours, coming out of college, the oldest one, and the other one making his way through college. And even our nieces and nephews that are in their 20s, early 30s, starting early in their career, starting to make their way. I think we've got an opportunity here, sharing within our family and sharing more broadly outside of our family. So I hope the listeners we'll see that as well, too, as we move this forward.
Yeah, and it's really about taking those lessons that we learned growing up and paying them forward is what, you're basically saying. And one thing that we wanted to do was dedicate this first episode to our father, William Reynolds, MD. He has been instrumental and a guiding light throughout our lives, helping to share his knowledge and provide his wisdom to us to help us, just understand, become literate, if you will, and, savvy around our personal finances. And I truly believe that without those lessons, I wouldn't be as comfortable where I am. My goal for financial freedom is to be able to live and also give abundantly. What about you? What's your financial freedom? How you define financial freedom?
Well, I define financial freedom as being in a position, no matter what season or what stage of life that you're in, to be able to make the choices, to do the things that you want to do without being encumbered by money. Not feeling that I can't do this, I can't partake in this because I don't have the money to be able to do it. And so it may be just small things, the money to go on a vacation, the money to go to the grocery store and, buy the things that you desire or need to, provide to your family. So I think of a story back when we were growing up, and, by all means, my parents started with nothing, and they did not have generational wealth passed on to them. And, through our father's hard work, getting educated, the things that he did as a physician, he was able to afford upon us, certain benefits. And I'll never forget the time we were out with, one of our cousins, and we went to dinner, and, the cousin was asking, well, how much can we spend, for dinner tonight? And we all kind of looked like, well, is there a limit to what we can get on the menu? So financial freedom is, being able to be in that situation or whatever it is you're looking to do, and be able to have the choice to do it without being, again, encumbered by, am I limited because I've not put myself in a position to be able to do the things that are important to me at that point in time.
Yeah. And those are those circumstances and situations that you never forget. I mean, Dad has, and actually we'll get to this in just a second, but this episode is called Lessons from Our Father. So just wanted to be very clear that I'm very grateful for everything that I've learned from Dad, from a personal finance standpoint. And I know you are too. But we also have two folks that are going to be joining us. We have our brothers on the line who we wanted to invite for this very first podcast to join in the conversation. And what we wanted to do is just really share some of these key lessons that we've learned from our father.
Right. We all grew up in the same household. So yes, while we may have a different take on things, certainly it's great to have Bill and David join us here today.
So before they start, we have our brothers, William Bill Reynolds the second, and also David Reynolds. So Bill is a financial expert who's worked with organizations from nonprofits to Fortune 500 companies. He's a results-driven leader who spent more than 25 years guiding teams. One thing I love about him is he is a role model. He's super positive and calm, and he loves his family and he loves the great outdoors as well. We also have our brother David Reynolds. He is an analytics professional with decades of experience, and he's got his MBA in finance from the University of Illinois and spent a lot of his time in banking and supply distribution. He's definitely adventurous and always up for trying new things. He loves his son, traveling and spending time in the great outdoors as well. But so welcome, Bill and David. We're glad that you're here joining us. Hi, can you hear us?
Yeah.
Oh, hello.
So glad to be here.
Hi.
Sure can. How are you, Crystal and Jenny?
Wonderful. So again, today is all about Dad and, the wisdom that he has imparted on us. So, y'all, this is a family affair. And I feel like all of us in our own way have been on our journeys to financial freedom. And, again, we've learned a lot. Made mistakes, but we keep rolling and keep setting new goals. But a lot of this was instilled in us by Dad. So, I guess we'll just open it up. Who wants to start? What's the one thing? What's the top thing that Dad taught you about personal finance that you think others could benefit from?
I'll start. One of the interesting things that I remember about Dad is, when I was young and didn't have money, I'd ask him for money. I'd say, "Hey, Dad, can I have some money? I want to do something today." And he'd say, "Okay, how much do you need? And what are you going to do with it?" So already as a young child, he was asking me to have a plan for the money that I have. So if you were going to the movie, what's the plan? How much are the tickets? How much is the popcorn? But it's really coming up with a plan for the money. And, I still do that today.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about that on one of our episodes coming up, because that's really important.
Yeah, so let me add to that. And I'm going to talk about something that Dad and I still talk about to this day, and we've talked about for a long time. And it's really the foundation of your journey to financial freedom. And I think it was best said by written by an author by the name of James Clear. I got to give him the credit here because I think he just puts it right on the point. And it's basically that you cannot arrive at the fullest measure of your success until you crash the spirit of procrastination within you.
Oh boy, procrastination, the P word.
P word. It is the foundation. Yes. And if I had, every time Dad and I would talk about procrastination, he would bring up he would basically say, if I could have came up with a pill to treat procrastination years ago, I'd have been rich, So it's something that affects all of us.
Uber rich. It would have been something everybody would have been taking by now.
That's right. And that is one of the biggest hurdles. I mean, because one thing about building wealth is you want to start early, right? And the earlier you start, the more runway you have as you age and can accumulate that wealth. But yeah, I mean, and that's with any goal that you set. And we'll be talking about goals in the next episode, but yeah, that's key.
Getting started. And really one of the lessons I always think of when I think of Dad is pay yourself first. Mm-hmm. He always said, take out what you want to put aside for yourself, start building your savings. And, just like you pay for your taxes out of your paycheck right off the bat. They're not waiting to see what you have left over to take it for Uncle Sam. Mm-hmm. Why do the same for yourself? Mm-hmm. And I remember when I first got married and, me and my husband were talking about how we want to manage our finances. And he was like, well, let's wait till the end of the month and whatever we have left over, we can put into savings. And I'm like, well, that's a great thought, but at the end of the day, there'll never be anything left over. So we kind of pivoted to that and came to a point where, okay, we're going to pay ourselves first. And from there, you build out what your spending can be because I've already put something aside for me. And who's most important in this than putting yourself or your family at the center of that. So I always think of that from Dad saying, put something to yourself first before you start thinking of your other obligations.
And it's definitely a different mindset. I mean, if you're putting away 10%, you're putting away $1 for every $10 you make. And, it sounds like it's easy, but in reality, if you don't make that a priority from day one and have that mental mindset to do that, it can be a challenge. David?
Yeah, one of the things that makes it less challenging now is the technology that's available to automatically, pay yourself on a schedule. Mm-hmm. And that's sort of how I manage it, is through technology. Mm-hmm. I'm a big spender. What I have to do is create systems to save, and the technology that's available today to automatically fund my savings is critical for my success.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right. You're not having to manage a checkbook anyway.
No, everything's electronic, and there's things that you can get into where they round up every purchase and take just the pennies and the cents and, kind of create automatic savings. But, I think the point there is how do you get started? And a lot of people, I think you just can feel overwhelmed, but if you look at it and break it down just into chunks and start doing something is better than nothing. And whether it's just like you said, $1 for every $10 you make, start in small increments or small amounts can, create themselves into bigger amounts.
Yeah. Another one that stands out now, Dad is 88. Our mother, Nanette, is 84. And one lesson that he's taught me more recently is I'm starting to think about retirement. He's like, pay your mortgage off before you retire. Your mortgage typically is the biggest expense you have once you're retired. And how nice would that be to have no mortgage payment and have that extra cash flow to be retired on? I mean, that definitely gives you a little more sense of freedom, right? So that's a lesson that I definitely have picked up from him more recently, and just seeing, how they're living in retirement, and, how do we make that one of our goals? How can me and my husband make that one of our goals as we are, pushing this 15, 20-year mark to be retired.
Mortgage free. That's a great goal.
That would be.
And then you have your shelter. You got a place to live.
Yes.
You've got, access, I guess, to the equity in case you needed it in an emergency, but not having, again, that burden of having to make the monthly payment. So another financial freedom to be in retirement and know that your living expenses are taken care of without having to handle that every month. So
David,
the other thing that does in paying off your mortgage, as part of your retirement plan, is it helps you diversify your assets, because your home is an asset that appreciates. Hopefully, historically, it's appreciated and will appreciate over time. So as you're looking at, what to do with that 10% that you save, trying to figure out what to do with those investments. Well, another investment of diversification is a home if you own it. And it just helps to make your portfolio a little bit more rounded.
And I think of other lessons. I think of kind of the whole good debt versus bad debt, because we talk about mortgage debt, and maybe mortgage is good debt to have early on, depending on your season in life, because it is creating an appreciation in the home if you're in a market. Lucky to be in a market that is increasing in value, but it typically does retain its value. So, you might have a mortgage early on, and that can be considered good debt at that stage, but maybe it's bad debt if you're in retirement and you have a limited income. So
yeah. Another one of those things is pay or earn interest, don't pay it. And if we didn't hear it 1,000 times, or at least I heard it 1,000 times, because I think I was credit card queen in high school. Don't have a credit card. Credit is bad. And, not all credit is bad, but don't have a credit card or earn interest, don't pay it. So if you're not paying your credit card every month, you are paying interest on it, versus having your money invested somewhere and you're earning the interest on those investments. So, those are all things that we had to explore as we're going through this journey. How do you balance that? But, Dad was a big proponent, a big supporter of not paying cash for things, save up, pay cash for it, and not use that credit card, or if you do, use it responsibly.
Well, you had to bring Mom into the conversation somehow, didn't you? Credit cards, charge cards. So, and it's not that credit cards are bad. I mean, certainly credit cards with programs and so forth, you might get airline points, but you're right. You got to get to a point where you're using it responsibly. You're paying it off every month, because the interest that you can accumulate on credit cards can very quickly, create an environment where you're limiting yourself from your other financial freedoms, because you're limiting your ability to save. So,
David, what about you? What was a lesson that you learned from Dad?
Sure. One of the lessons I learned and applied very early was having what we call a rainy day fund. Now, I created mine really when I got my first job after college, and I wanted to be in a position where I could be sort of in a position of strength when negotiating with my managers at work. And I thought I could do that better if I had 3 months or so of my household expenses. So I didn't have to worry about, finding a new, having time to find a new job and replace that income should I have to, negotiate with my current managers. So that really put me in a position of strength going to work in my career. And I've always kept a rainy day fund just for that. It really gave me a sense of financial freedom.
Yeah, that does make a difference, especially you never know when the furnace is going to go out, or, these unexpected big costs at your house or your apartment, wherever you're living, or, got a emergency with the car, need something fixed. And it is stressful when you don't have that cushion to tap into to manage that. And that does give you a sense of financial freedom, knowing that you've got a little breathing room. So
to help you through those emergencies, and especially being an owner of an older home, there's always something, whether it's the air conditioning that's all of a sudden on a blitz, or or freshening up the paint, or the heater in the middle of winter going kaput. So you do want to have the ability and the flexibility to be able to tap into a rainy day fund when you need it.
And what about this whole idea of live off less than what you make, or live beneath your means? Does that sound familiar?
Oh, yeah. Pay yourself first and then live within what's left at the end of the day. And, it's easy to say, it's hard to do in practice.
Yes.
Because there's always something more you want than what you make. And I'd say no matter what you make, because, early in your career, I know when I was just starting off, even when you got that first or second raise and you start making more money, then now I want more things. So instead of renting, I want to own a home. Instead of one car, I want to have two cars. So, no matter what stage or cycle you are in life, and no matter what your predicament or your circumstance is, trying to really challenge yourself to look at, what am I making after I pay myself first for my creation of my wealth and something for rainy day or for the future, what's left, and how can I make smart choices around how I'm using what's left.
Yes.
So, and it's not easy, and it takes focus. I mean, you got to have a sense of your purpose and your goals, and that, like David was saying, like, what do I want to do with my money? What's your game plan? What's your North Star? Your guiding light to how you want to use your money, so that you're kind of staying focused on where it's going, and rooted within what's important to you.
Yes.
Yeah, it's interesting. There's different seasons in this journey of financial freedom. Jen, you just went through them. It's like, in certain seasons, it's a season for saving. In certain seasons, it's a season for spending or investing. And, the key is to feel comfortable about where you are in that journey, to financial freedom, based on this season, based on the decision you're making for you and your family, and how to make that best work. And it's all about the journey. It's not the destination, because there is no end to financial freedom. We're always going to have the what do I call it? Basically the issues of managing money, right? The weight of managing our financials, whether we have it or we don't, it's always there. So you're never going to be free of financials. It's all about how do you feel about where you are in the journey towards that, financial freedom, and dealing with that at every leg of the way, and making good decisions, and just trying to do the best you can with it,
And you're right, Bill. It is a journey. And, that's one of the reasons why we named this the Sister's Guide to Financial Freedom. We're on this journey. We're helping to guide people with the knowledge that we have, that God equipped us with, to help us get through this journey together. We actually have 1 minute left and need to wrap up. But first of all, I just wanted to say thank you all very much for joining us today. Thanks, Jenny, for doing this with us. Certainly appreciate everything that you guys shared today, all the lessons learned. I hope that our listeners and viewers are able to take the knowledge that we're sharing, and maybe it resonates with them and sparks them to do some research, to follow us and communicate with us, so that we can keep the dialogue going, because it's definitely a journey.
Yep. And we're just getting started.
Yes.
This is just our first episode. And really, that's one of the biggest hurdles to financial freedom, is getting started.
Yes.
So I'm excited to be on this journey with you, Crystal. We're getting started, and look forward to where we go next with it, and sharing how we got started, and moving from there.